All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. And this time we're going to be looking at something, something a little different.
Yeah, this one's a little spicy.
Yeah, it is a bit spicy. This is from a blog post called The Spizz by a guy who calls himself Twisty.
Ah, Twisty. Yeah, I've heard of him before.
Yeah, so this deep dive, we're going to be talking about what Twisty has to say about this idea of working less and making more.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he has to say about that.
Me too. And fair warning, Twisty does not hold back. Okay, so if you're easily offended, this might not be the deep dive for you.
He definitely tells it like it is.
Yeah, he really does. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. The Spizz starts with this statement. You will never be able to work less and make more.
Whoa! Okay, getting right to the point.
Yeah, no kidding. And the whole tone is very much like, miss me with that.
Yeah, I've read some of his stuff before. He's pretty confrontational.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He actually goes on to talk about how he used to be all about the hustle, working all the time, trying to build his practice.
Right, the classic entrepreneurial grind.
Exactly. And he talks about how it led to him neglecting his family and feeling totally burnt out.
Oh, wow. So he's speaking from experience then.
Yeah. And he even tells this story about his dad, hard worker, classic immigrant work ethic. And this lady, Mrs. Rigatoni, who cooked for his family growing up.
Okay.
And Mrs. Rigatoni, she had this saying, no worka, no ita.
Huh. I love that.
Right? It's like this old school mentality about hard work.
But I think even back then, people still found joy in their work, even if it was tough. Mrs. Rigatoni probably took pride in her cooking in her own way.
That's a good point. And Twisty doesn't really disagree with that idea of finding joy in your work. Actually, he kind of doubles down on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he basically says that the key to not burning out is to actually fall in love with the parts of your work that you hate.
Well, that's interesting. That sounds pretty counterintuitive.
Yeah, it kind of threw me off at first, too. But then he gives this example about systems and SOPs,
Ah, yes. The systems and SOPs every entrepreneur loves to hate.
Right. He talks about how he used to hate them with a passion. But then he started working with a coach who helped him see the value in them.
So he learned to appreciate the structure and the efficiency they bring.
Exactly. And he says that once he actually started implementing them, he found that he actually enjoyed working on them.
Wow. So he turned something he hated into something he actually liked. That's pretty powerful.
I know, right? I'm still trying to figure out how to love insurance forms, but hey, maybe there's hope for me yet.
Haha. Well, it's all about perspective, right?
Yeah. And speaking of perspective, Twisty also has some pretty strong opinions about clients.
Oh, this should be good.
Yeah, he basically says that you got to be careful about who you take on as a client. And he gets very specific about this one type of client he absolutely can't stand.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's the client who wants to be treated exactly the same way they were by their previous chiropractor.
Ah, I see. But my old chiropractor used to type.
Yes. And he actually says, why did you hire me, bitch? In the blog post.
Oh, yeah, he definitely doesn't mince words.
I know, right? It's pretty harsh. But to be fair, I think he's making a point about the importance of finding the right clients.
Mm-hmm.
People who actually trust your approach.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a challenge to attract those ideal clients who are a good fit for your practice.
Absolutely. It takes time and effort to build that kind of client base.
And to be clear, while Twisty's language might be a bit much, we do want to emphasize that respecting our clients is super important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We are not endorsing that kind of language.
It's more about recognizing the importance of compatibility between a practitioner and their clients.
Exactly. And you've been in practice for a while now. What are your thoughts on finding that right fit with clients?
Well, I think Twisty has a point about the importance of setting boundaries and being clear about your approach.
Okay.
You can't please everyone, and it's better to attract clients who are genuinely receptive to your methods.
So it's better to have fewer clients who are a good fit than a lot of clients who aren't.
Exactly. You'll be happier, and your clients will be happier in the long run.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of ties back to the whole idea of loving your work.
Right, absolutely. If you have clients who trust you and appreciate your work, it makes everything so much more enjoyable.
Right, like even those insurance forms might not feel so bad if you know you're helping people who genuinely value your expertise.
Exactly.
So I guess the big takeaway from the Spizz is that this idea of working less and making more might not be the answer.
Yeah, I think Twisty's perspective is more about finding fulfillment in the work itself.
It's about finding passion and joy in what you do, even the parts that feel like a chore.
Right. And maybe even learning to love those chores.
Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So I guess the question for our listeners is this. What aspects of your work could you learn to love more deeply?
And how would that shift your overall experience?
It's something to think about, right?
Definitely. It's a
Yeah.
challenge, but it's a worthwhile one.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See ya.